Hello, fairy finders and fairy seekers. Welcome to FaerieQuest. And we are going to take a trip with a fairy today. And that fairy is going to show us around to some different places. And I have no idea what it's actually going to show, to be honest with you. I have never done a reading like this, so we're going to test it out together. And we are going to first pick the fairy that we are going to travel with, and then, of course, that fairy will have a message for us as well. Then we're going to choose a card to determine where that fairy is going to take us and what we are supposed to get out of the location that we go to. If it's a location, maybe it will be something else. Maybe, I don't know. So this is going to be kind of a fun experiment for us to do together. Kind of like the Fairy Scrabble. I don't know if I'll necessarily be reading the cards as much as I will be possibly giving you suggestions as to what the fairy is trying to share. And because this is a general reading, meaning it can be for many, it is for whoever happens to watch this particular video. Number one, it's timeless, and number two, it is going to be one of those things where not all of the messages within the reading are for you. Some of them may resonate, some of them may not. Maybe all of them will. Wouldn't that be something? But at any rate, we're going to give this a shot and take a trip with a fairy. Thought it might be kind of fun. So I'm going to take a sip of my coffee here, and we're going to choose from a few of the fairies. We have a number of cards here, hexagon cards, and we are going to choose from these fairies and see which one we are going to be able to get. Can't shuffle these like you would normal cards, so we're just going to set it down and split it and take the card on the top, which isn't that fun. We have an actual fairy, like F-A-I-R-Y, and you know how I've always harped about my channel is about fairy, F-A-E-R-I-E, because, and sometimes Y, because I look at them as a species and not necessarily like Tinkerbell. However, in this case, we are actually going to go on a trip with a fairy. So let's see what message this fairy has to share with us. And these cards are quite small, so I'm going to use my handy dandy magnifying glass. So this is Leedo, L-E-E-D-O. And the subject matter of his message is the magic. Here are his words of wisdom. Life, your life, is overflowing with magic. All around you sparkles with fairy dust. Even if you cannot see, you know you are getting another blast of magic when you sneeze unexpectedly. When this happens, thank the fairy who brought the dust. Then open your mind and heart to all possibilities without expectation, and let the fairy dust do its magic for you. All fairies know what magic you need. Now, isn't this so cool that this is the fairy that we have chosen to take us on the trip, because this is about magic. He is showing us, Leedo is showing us the magic that can take place when traveling with a fairy, because as he says, they're around. And sneezing unexpectedly, never thought of dust like that. How about you? So this is our little friend. We're going to put Leedo up here, and we're going to see from the cards here where Leedo is going to take us for the first trip. Now keep in mind that these are tarot cards created from my fairy photos. However, I won't be using the tarot for reading. I'm just going to be reading from what's on the cards themselves, the picture. All right, so let us cut this here. Okay, and we're just going to pull the first card out here. All right, so it looks like Lido is going to take us to a celebration of some sort. It looks like we have a couple who is perhaps getting married, perhaps jumping the broom, not sure how they do it in wherever it is we're going. And perhaps Lido is noticing that, you know, this is something that maybe all of us need to do. Maybe we need to get together and do this kind of celebratory fun. Maybe we're all in need of that. If you're a couple, why not get dressed up and go to one of the fanciest places you can think of? Or you can get dressed up and you can just go create your own fancy restaurant in your home. Obviously, there's nobody there to serve you as they would at a fancy restaurant, but you know, you'd have time as a couple. And Lido is saying here that taking time together with those that you care about is one of the most important things that fairies do. Getting together and celebrating and having fun, that is what life is about. That is what life is meant for. Not just for fairies, but for humans too. It is important to have fun. So he brought us to this celebration, which these fairies, thank you very much for allowing us to join in this celebration. And now we are going to move forward to the next location. And to do that, Lido is going to introduce us to another fairy who is then going to take us someplace else. All right, so let's see who we get here. All right. Here is our fairy card. See the woman right here. And her name is Danaea. And Danaea is all about charisma. Okay? And she says, I am a gypsy dancer, having learned this skill from my mother. Many love me and come great distances to see me perform. Am I that good? Perhaps, but I believe it is my charisma that draws them. I love to dance and give my all to every performance. I choose beautiful, bright clothing, and my smile is genuine. They are devoted as I am devoted. If you have a skill you love, give it everything you have, and you too will develop a following. All right, so I find this interesting that Danaea is sharing some of the message here for this card that where Lido led us, okay? Because it is important to have a good time. And obviously this is a place that you could dance, you could have fun, you can be genuine, you can be with the people you care about. And if you do that, people are going to love to be with you because your vibration is going to be just so fabulous. And it'll rub off on other people. So that is really awesome. And she's sharing the message that goes with this location, but she's also leading us to the next place. So we are just going to split this deck here because we've already shuffled it. Let's see what we get. Okay, so we have a shadow here. And this is where Danae has led us. And she is looking over here at these two people celebrating, and she's very much enjoying that. She is not looking at this shadow figure. And there are shadow figures everywhere. That's just the way that it is. But sometimes, and in this case, I suppose, using the hanged man as an example, looking at things from a whole new perspective. In other words, if you're bored and you don't know what to do with yourself at this moment in time, maybe looking at things from a different perspective will help you figure out how to have fun in this way. No matter where you are, you can have fun no matter where you are. So looking at things, say, upside down, that's a new perspective, right? Looking at things sideways, that's a new perspective. So taking the time to do that is something that the fairies, I don't think they really ever have to necessarily, at least not fairies like Lido, because they can get up and they can get a bird's eye view. Okay, so they can look way out over the forest and they can see all kinds of opportunity. They can fly out of the forest and they can see all kinds of opportunity. So maybe they don't need to really think about that other perspective quite as much as we do as humans, because we are stationary on the ground. Yes, we could go to a higher hill and that would give us a different view, but maybe not as big of a view as we would like to have. And often that other view doesn't give us the full picture still. So try a different angle. If you're kind of stuck, don't know what to do, don't know how to do it, try a different angle. So we have the celebration, we have Danae talking about charisma and really bringing up that vibration, and we have a location where we can just kind of hang upside down, I guess, from a tree and really get a whole different perspective, whole different view on things. So let's see who we're going to meet next. Just going to set this down and here we go. All right, so we have this fairy here. Her name is Aurora, and her message is about the rainbow. She says, "The glorious yet mystifying rainbow, with its colors of red, orange, yellow, green, light blue, dark blue, and purple that never vary. This rainbow is you. Your light self is made of these colors. When these colors flow uninterrupted within your light self, your physical body shimmers and glows within this high vibration, and you feel magnificent. If a cloud covers a color or two and disrupts the flow, your healthy shimmer will be muted. Your vibration is lower. Stay free-flowing. Let go of unneeded baggage." Now that's a beautiful message also, and something that we can contemplate here with the cards that have shown up. Danae is telling us, celebrate, have fun. Or I should say Lido sent us there, but Danae is saying celebrate, have fun, and really dance. Show who you are. Enjoy the movement. Movement is also a form of expression, a form of emotion, and it can raise the vibration as well. And then you have Aurora, who is looking this way towards all of this, including the Hanged Man and Danae and this 10 of Cups card. She's looking that way too and saying you can raise your vibration again with the understanding of the chakras, and that is what the rainbow is all about, is the chakras. if something interrupts you, if suddenly you feel very dark for some reason, if a situation takes place and you feel as though it has darkened your insides, darkened your day, then chances are one of your rainbow colors is not quite as it should be, and your vibration isn't quite as high. So perhaps dance. Dancing is amazing. Just smile and spread the smile. Do something nice for someone. All of these things will raise your vibration. So let's see where we're going next. These are slippery. Oh. These are slippery cards. Okay, so we are kind of looking at another part of a wooded area, kind of standing back and taking that time to look at what is out there, not just forging ahead really hard, but taking a minute to actually look around and see what it is that we would like to do, what we could do, what we are going to see. And we're in no hurry. It's obvious. And if you can see this fairy's profile here, that's what we're seeing is the profile. Shoulder is here, chin here, nose, top of the head. And in a way, it feels as though this fairy is also kind of hiding a little bit, maybe a little fearful to move out into trying something new. I mean, these suggestions are fantastic, but what if you're more introverted? What if you're just not comfortable getting out there and doing that kind of thing? So it's not impossible, even if you're introverted, to dance on your own, to exercise on your own, say get on some kind of media platform and really have a conversation without feeling as though you have to be forced to be among other people. If that is not how you feel comfortable, then you do it the way that you feel safe and good, okay? But always remember, you can get a different perspective. You can always get a different perspective. You just have to allow yourself to do so. So let's see what fairy we're going to flow with next. And I'm just going to do it this way because it keeps knocking over the cards. All right. So here we have this man here. And what we're seeing is someone on horseback. There's part of the horse, difficult to see, but he appears to be in armor. Okay. So he is Baron. That's what his name is, Baron. And he is the guardian. The guardian is the protector of hopes and dreams. There are never any hopes and dreams that are foolish or impossible, no matter what others may say. Hopes and dreams are what keeps you moving forward on your life path or toward your life path. If you do not have hopes and dreams, you are like a ship lost in the vastness of the ocean without the hope of any clear direction. Allow yourself the luxury of hoping and dreaming, whether big or small. It costs you nothing. It does, however, open a path where direction and guidance are given. So what Baron is sharing here is, even for those, no matter who you are, whether you're an extrovert or an introvert, the possibility of doing all of these things is there. Even as an introvert here, you have a guardian that is going to keep you safe. And that guardian is going to make sure that one way or another, you're going to learn how to raise that vibration, how to enjoy yourself. Perhaps you would prefer to write, and maybe writing is what you excel at, and you can raise your vibration by writing. And then in turn, you're using characters, especially if you're writing a fiction, you're using characters to act out everything that you yourself don't feel as though you can do. Perhaps you enjoy singing, and singing again raises your vibration. And it also, I have heard anyway, that singers actually live longer than anyone else. Whether that's a fact or not, I don't know. But it's something about, because they're always vocalizing that amazing vibration. It's always being shared. And, that's what we're all about, is sharing, right? So on this trip, so far, we have visited a couple who is celebrating. We've listened to Danae talk about dancing and charisma and giving everything you can to something that you really enjoy. And then also a new perspective sometimes might be needed as to what that is, what it is that is really going to make you happy and really make you want to share that charisma and make that, or maybe get a following. Maybe you're doing a YouTube channel, or maybe you're doing something else, a new blog. Just make sure it's something that you love. And if you're not real sure, change your perspective. And then you have Aurora here, who's telling you that all of these things are incredible in keeping your vibration high. Everything you do does that. And if you get down in the dumps and things feel a little dark and not quite as they should, look to that new perspective. Bring that vibration back up. We don't want muted colors, right? If you're introverted, or you just want to kind of stand back and, from this perspective, maybe you've thought of something. And then, you're just not real sure if that's the right way to go. So let's just kind of hang back and check it out. But don't be embarrassed about what you've come up with. Because if it's a hope, if it's a dream, it's definitely worth your time. Because as Baron said, if you have no hopes and dreams, you're like a ship lost in the vastness of the ocean without the hope of any clear direction. And we don't want to be lost without clear direction. This is important. So let's see where we're going to go next. And I feel the need this time to shuffle. Not sure why. Alrighty, let's split her up. And I'm going to do it this way so I don't mess up the cards that are there. Okay. So here we have, the card is the King of Wands. However, this is not how I am actually looking at the cards here. But this card shows a let me grab him, a larger fairy, but he seems to be an electric kind of fairy. He is created from light. His face is light, parts of him. Parts of him are just look like normal clothing, but he is lit up. He's electric. And what an amazing place to be. Maybe from here, you had some, maybe out there was dark, but, how can you see what it is that you really want? You need some light. You need some hope that there's light. And they take you to a place that is somewhere you can become electric. Maybe it's by touching a plant. Maybe it's just by thinking about being electric, being able to turn on the light. And this could also be an idea. Maybe you're here and you kind of have an idea, but you're not really sure. and you're hoping it's the right one, and then suddenly there's the light that says, yes, that's the idea. That's perfect. What a fantastic place to visit. All right, so let's see who is in this electric forest. All right, let's split her up. Okay, in the electric forest, we have Heron. And we can see her. She is quite dark, but her head is here. She's kind of a, oh, I don't know. Think of Granny in the Beverly Hillbillies. Maybe that's kind of an idea. Anyway, she's got longer hair and kind of an eccentric hat and a rather large, interesting looking shoe. She's sitting in a rocker, and I believe she's also smoking a pipe. Okay, so Heron, her message is the zealot. It says, dedication to your spiritual purpose remains the reason for your life and for every action, passion, and plan you pursue. You may well appear fanatical about a specific subject, usually of a spiritual nature, and that pours from your subconscious often without your understanding or awareness. If you are seeking your life purpose, look to those things you are the most passionate about and allow your fanaticism to lead the way. Be true to your soul. Okay, so interestingly, this could also be lighting up that idea. So perhaps that lighting up of self, lighting up forest, is a way to light up your soul, to look inside, really look inside, and see what that passion is that you could be so fanatical about. And all of these things will raise your vibration in one way or another. And, you know, as you look back over some of these cards and what they've said here, if you go backwards, well, no, not necessarily. Say we're starting out here and we're going, oh, well, you know, we're going to go out and we're going to have a really good time and that's going to be a blast. But is there a reason behind that? Here, Danae is saying, whatever it is you're doing and why you're doing it, even if you don't know why you're doing it, put everything you've got into it. Add charisma. People will just want to be with you if you do that. So that gives you kind of a thing to do when you go to the couple forest. And then maybe also while you're doing that, because you're doing that, you are getting that different perspective. There is no time to be dark in any way, shape, or form because you're already doing something specific. Much darkness seems to come from too much sitting still, perhaps. I mean, meditating is good, but you can't, meditating probably isn't great all the time. You have to put what you meditate about into action to some degree, right? So here's Danae saying, here is Aurora saying, this is fantastic because the more you do this kind of thing, the more your aura emanates out from you. And here you can take a moment to see what this higher perspective really is all about. Do I want to pursue that? Do I want to take that risk? Maybe it is a risk. Maybe it's not a risk. But maybe that's it. I'm looking for something that really resonates with me. I have certain hopes. I have certain dreams. And Baron is there to bring those forth. But how am I going to know? How am I going to know this is the right direction? Because it sets you on fire. It absolutely sets you on fire. And as Heron says here, if you're on fire, you're dedicated to whatever your soul purpose is. And perhaps your soul purpose is something that changes over time. So if your excitement about something begins to wane, go back to the beginning and start over. Move through this process and figure out whether or not that soul purpose that you were working on maybe has grown. Maybe you've covered a certain part of that soul purpose. So let us pull one more card here. And again, I feel as though I need to shuffle. Not sure why. And we're going to split it. Put down here, grab this card, and go here. Okay, so here we have a woman. She appears to be, I guess you would say, a little haggard. But I think what this card is about is make sure that you share the wealth. And I'm not just talking abundance here. Leto is saying you need to share your good fortune because that raises your vibration even higher. If you have fantastic ideas, if you have things that can offer something amazing to others, if you make good money, with finding whatever this is, then share. You don't have to give away everything, but share occasionally. That's very important because when you put out abundance of any kind to help make another feel good, to bring forth goodness in any way that you can think to do, then it raises everyone's vibration. And again, it's the law of attraction. What you put out there for others, you get back. So if you give money, somehow or another, that money will come back to you in an even larger amount. If you're giving energy of some kind, doing whatever you do, different readings, or say you care for the elderly, or you do baked goods for people just because, for whatever reason, it doesn't mean that you're going to get baked goods back galore. It just means that others will in turn perhaps bring you a casserole. That kind of exchange, okay? And it's going to come back to you larger than life. So one last card here. See who we get. Okay, and here we have this little one. And her name is Coral. And her subject matter is the seedling. Every living creature begins from a seed. Upon birth, the seed becomes a seedling. A seedling cannot remain a seedling forever. That seedling must grow and perhaps eventually produce more seedlings to continue growth of the species. But to understand the seedlings you produce, you must retain some of the seedling within yourself. In other words, you must remember the child you once were and allow that child to come forth in understanding and love. An adult who does not remember their inner child will cease to blossom. Remember how to play. Now, this is a very important card here, as they all have been. But the seedling, this is as though talking about that idea, that spark. Okay, once you get that spark, you need to allow that spark to grow. Okay, but if you start getting too serious, you may end up back at square one. Okay, feeling very sad, very empty. Okay, so you need to allow that seed to grow. That doesn't mean don't take action. That just means start moving forward, because that's what gives a seed momentum. If you plant a seed and you never water it, what happens? It's not usually going to make it, okay? So you need to plant the seed and allow it to grow, but continue to feed it. So whatever it is that you have going on, keep going, keep feeding it, okay? And then, as Coral says, one of the most important things is remember how to play. And if you don't know where to start with this process that Lido has taken us through, think about childhood. And that's a big thing here too with Coral. Think about your childhood. What did you love to play at? Because a lot of times that's a huge, huge clue to what part of your soul purpose is. So with all that, I think that was a pretty good journey that Lido has taken us on. And thank you, Lido. Thank you, Danae, Aurora, Baron, Heron. Sorry about that. I take their pictures, but I don't remember them all, not necessarily. And Coral. Thank all of you for your input for this fantastic journey. So, hope everybody enjoyed this trip with Lido and all the rest, and that maybe you learned something cool. So until next time, take care.